A while ago, someone in a Facebook group asked if there was a video to show a glitch effect, like in a video glitch. I had a quick look on the internet at some Photoshop tutorials, and I've sort of nicked a few ideas from the various ones I've watched to sort of make this video. And I've done it so it looks like not so much a glitch, but as when the video has been paused. Because if anybody remembers the old VHS videos, when you press the pause button, it didn't sort of give a good image like you can get nowadays when you pause a video on YouTube or what have you. So this is the effect that I've gone for. Now I will be honest and say that I don't particularly like the end result. It's not something I would personally want to do to one of my own images, but for the sake of this video, this is what I'm going to be doing. But it does teach you, or has taught me, something I didn't know, so it is worth sort of looking at it or trying it, if only to learn something new about how to using channels. But we'll get to that a bit later. Now this is of a video, an image I took of my niece's wedding about 8 years ago. I've gone with the wedding theme because that's what most people would have videoed. And in this first one, I forgot to include the play image or symbol that you would get when you would pause the video, or you could have, I could have put pause and had the two white lines. Either way would work. So you could either do it with this symbol or you can do it without this symbol. I will leave that up to you. This second image I did, test run I included the symbol in with the rest of the glitch effect. So this is the effect that I'm going to go with this included. Now I'm not going to be ruining any more of my niece's wedding images. I'm going to use this one from Pixabay.com, so you can use it yourself and follow along if you so wish. I will add a link to this image in the description for the video. So let us get started. So the first thing I need is the text tool, and I've already set this up to be white, but if you haven't, if yours is black or some other color, you need to set it to white. And I'll do this all in capitals, and I'll come to the move tool and I'll just reposition it a bit better. I might reduce the size slightly. Hold down the control key while I just shrink this down a little bit. About there, I think. And to this layer I'm going to add a filter of distort and pixelate, because I don't want it to be like a perfect image, because partly because of the glitch effect, and also, if I remember rightly, with old videos it wasn't 100% like perfect letters. It would be a bit pixelated anyway. So at the moment it's set on 1. I'm going to try it on 2, and it would depend on what you want to do. Let's try 4. It might be a bit. Let's try 4. Have a quick zoom in and have a look. Yeah, that's quite a bit pixelated enough, I think. Zoom out again. So next thing I want is a triangle symbol. Again, I want it to be white in color. So I'm going to hold down the shift key when I click and draw this out, so the proportions of the triangle are the same. Make it the same sort of height as the text. And at the top here I have this sort of handle here, and if I bring the cursor close to the top, the cursor will change to a double-ended black arrow, and if I hold down the shift key and click and rotate this. Because the shift key is being held down, it will rotate in, I think it's 15-degree angles, so you can make sure that you end up getting it straight. So again, I want to pixelate this one as well, so filters, distort, pixelate, and again I'll go with 4 on this one, but if you're using your own image you may want to alter how much that is pixelated, or like I said earlier, if you don't want that symbol on there, you could just ignore that part altogether. So I'm just going to quickly group these together, so I'm going to hold down the control key, so I'll highlight both of those and then right click and group those together, just so that if I want to move them now, they will both move at the same time, but I'm fairly happy with where it is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to right click this top layer and then merge visible. So we now have that image and all those layers together in one layer. So I'm then going to duplicate this merged layer 2 times. You can do this by either right clicking on this top layer and come to duplicate, or you can just press Ctrl and J, and I think it's Command and J on a Mac. So I'll just do it once by doing that and once by doing Ctrl and J. Now I'm going to just hide that middle layer, and I'm going to be working on the top layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the Channels tab, which is in this panel down here, and it's the 4th one along. And what I want to be working is not on the composite channels, but on the channels that are below that, because these are the channels, these 4 ones here are the channels for the layer we're on, whereas the composite ones is the channels for the whole image. But I just want to be altering the layer that I have highlighted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the green one and I'm going to click on clear, and then right click on the blue one and click clear. So we just have the red channel left, and what I'm now going to do is I'm going to move this channel to the right. So we need to be on the move tool, which we are. Now if you press the left or right arrows on your keyboard, every time you press that, it will move this image or layer over by 1 pixel. But I have found that if you hold down the shift key and then click on the right or left arrow, it will move it in steps of 10. So that's a lot easier, right? Because I want to move it by 20 pixels, and I don't, rather than press this 20 times, I can just hold down the shift key and just press the arrow twice. So I'm going to go to the right by 20. Now this particular image is much bigger than the one I used on my niece's wedding, so I'm going to try this on 30. So I'm going to move this over by 30, and then I'm going to change the blending mode of this. Now there are various blending modes that you could use. Hang on, I need to be... Yeah, so I think it's lighten is the... Yeah, there are a couple of other blending modes that you can use, but I personally found that lighten was probably the best one to go for. Screen is another one which I think was quite good, and I think exclusion was another one that was okay. So depending on what you want and your personal preferences, you could try a different blend mode, but I'm going to stick with lighten, and then I am just going to lower the opacity down to about 50%, just so you can see that red shifted over to the right. So I'm happy with that, and then I'm going to come to the pixel layer below that top layer, and I'm going to unhide this one, and this time I'm going to be turning off the red and the green. So I'll right click this and come to clear and clear the green one. So we're now working with the blue channel. And this time I'm going to move it to the left. So again, I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to go 30 with that one as well, and again change the blend mode to lighten, and again lower the opacity down to 50% around that area. So we have the blue channel of one layer going to the left and the red channel of one layer going to the right. Now you could also add sort of maybe another layer if you wanted, and say for example work with the green layer by turning the red and the blue off, and added some other distortion. Ripple is another effect which may work quite well, but I will leave mine with just these two layers, one move to the left and one move to the right. So once you're happy with that part, I'm going to highlight the top layer and merge visible again. So that will then get rid of any of the excess bits that are off the sides, and everything is now merged together on that single layer. So now what I want is some lines going across the screen like you used to get with old video screens, television screens. So again I'm going to come up to filters, but this time come down to colors, then down to halftone, and from the dialog that opens up, it's set by default on dots, but we're going to go for line, and again this is down your personal choice, but I went with a cell size of 15 and contrast at 38, and then clicked apply. And with this one I changed the blending mode to luminosity, so I had that sort of television screen, old television screen lines going across the image. And you can lower the opacity again of this just to sort of maybe not have the effect so harsh. I mean, on my original test runs I had this at about 45%, but on this particular image I'm going to go around, that's 81%, that'll do on this particular image. So at this point you could just save and export it as it stands now, just have sort of a minor glitch pause effect, or we could carry on and add a few more effects to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a vibrance adjustment layer, and I'm just going to crank up the colors a bit. It's a case of, well, in fact I'm going to go right to 100% just to crank up some of those colors a bit. Just happy with that. And now I'm going to come to the rectangle tool, and I'm still color white, and I'm just going to draw 3 rectangles going right away across the screen, and vary the sizes of them. So let's go about there. Make that one a bit smaller. That one a bit bigger, and a much bigger one down the bottom. Let's try that. So you could just move them around a bit. Let's not have it over their faces so much. Let's try it there. So once you're happy with the sizes and positions, I'm going to highlight the top one, hold down the control key and highlight the other two, and then right click that and group them all together. And then we're going to change the blend mode of the group, the whole group, to overlay. Again, you could use other blend modes. Some work better than others, but I found overlay and possibly soft light give this sort of breaking up of the image in strips going across the screen. You could lower the opacity if you so wish, but I'm going to leave that. I did find that other blend modes that worked quite well on these strips was, like I said, soft light, but difference, exclusion and negation all worked quite well in their own way, but I prefer to use overlay, but you can try whichever blend mode you want. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge visible. So again, I now have all those set on one layer, and the last thing I'm going to add is another strip down the bottom, which sometimes you used to get with videos where it had a sort of breaking up type of effect, which is very similar to what we're getting here, but it is another way of getting a similar sort of effect. So again, I'm going to be adding a rectangle, but this time I'm going to do it as a black image rather than a white rectangle. We're going to go with black. I'm going to make this a bit, help if I didn't move it. Let's try again. Alright, let's make this a bit bigger and just, that's it. Right, so I now have this black bar going across the screen, and to this I'm going to add some noise, and that's right up to 100% Gaussian and monochromatic, and then click apply. Now you could do that again to make it even more noisier, and then come down to filters, blur and motion blur, and then it's just a case of seeing how you like the effect of these dots being sort of stretched across the image. I mean, around the 8 to 10 pixel range is, I think, quite good. And click apply on that, and then change the blending mode of this to screen. It is more noticeable in the darker areas. Let me just come off of that tool a second so you can see it. So it does, it's a very similar effect to how we did with the white rectangles, but it is a different type of a glitch that you may want to add to your images. Now, one last effect you may want to add, if I right click this and merge visible again, is just add some noise to the overall image. So again, noise, add noise, and maybe not 100% on this, but let's try about 40%. Yes, I think that'll do. That is the end of the video tutorial. Like I said, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the end result, and you can push the effects further if you want, and using different blend modes you will get different results. So hopefully if you tinker around with some of the settings and some of the blend modes, you'll get the result that you are looking for, hopefully. So I hope it has been of some help to someone. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.